Hey y'all, I'm Sam, and today we're going to be making homemade garlic butter the easy way, the lazy mom way. All you'll need is your mixer, jar, a bowl of ice, some garlic. You can use regular or you can use already minced, and then parsley, which I'm actually going to be using dried parsley as well. So all you're going to do is, just to get started, you will take about half a container of heavy whipping cream. I've already done this once, so I've got about half a container left of heavy whipping cream. And you can do this once it gets close to the expiration date too, just to preserve it longer. And you're actually gonna get two things out of doing it this way, which I'll get into. So first you're gonna wanna lock your blender, and then just put it on a low setting, maybe like 2, and let that go ahead and mix basically until it gets to whipping cream. And once it gets to whipping cream, you're gonna wanna scrape the sides. Out of this, you're gonna get two things. You're gonna get buttermilk, and then you'll get your actual butter itself. The buttermilk you can store and use in things like pancakes, coffee creamer. I put it in eggs this morning, French toast, you know, things like that. In your coffee. I don't know if I already said that. I might have already said that. But you're gonna basically let this just whip and whip and whip, and then once you scrape the sides, you'll whip it some more. It'll start to get like a cottage cheese look to it. And it's gonna take probably about 10 minutes to get there. So just a waiting game now. But the higher fat you have in your heavy cream, the better. This is the only one that I found at the store, so that's what I'm going with. The parsley that I'm using is this bulk one from Costco. And then this is also bulk minced garlic. We go through so much garlic. Parchment paper as well. You're gonna need parchment paper to store your butter in. You're gonna be able to freeze it or refrigerate it, depending on what you want to use, if you're going to make a compound butter out of it or not, which is also pretty easy. This is already thickening up really nice. I'll show you once it gets like to a creamier texture, but it's definitely already thickening. Once it starts to thicken, you're going to turn the speed up just a little bit, and then once it actually turns into butter, we'll have a whole nother portion, which is why you want to make sure that you have that bowl of ice already set aside so that it's nice and cold. Yeah, this is already thickening. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. So once it starts to thicken a little bit, you don't want to have it up this high a speed to begin with, because you'll just be sending liquid splattering everywhere. All over your nice halfway clean kitchen, right? Yeah, this won't be long at all. And butter this way, it doesn't have any of the chemicals or extra stuff in it that you know, regular butter companies use. You know what ingredients are in it. If you want to salt it, not salt it, you can do it either way. This is going to be way better for you, way better for your family, and it's super easy. I run out of butter all the time, and since I learned how to do this, I don't really worry about it. I mean, typically have heavy cream around the house, just because we buy it for different things. We like a lot of Italian food, so I never use, or when I'm using a jar of anything, whether it be pasta sauce, a can of tomatoes, I always put a little heavy cream in the can to rinse it out and dump it back into the meal, because it gives it more flavor and you don't waste anything. I think that's the best part. Oh yeah, this is looking nice. It should start turning to whipped cream any second here. It's really thick and creamy. And the easiest way to do this is by having a stand mixer. I saw a method where you could do it with a mason jar, but that is a lot of work to just stand there and be shaking it the whole time. That would wear my arm out. So the mixer is definitely going to be the easiest way to go. Or even a hand mixer, I would imagine. But again, my arm would get tired. This KitchenAid has been doing me good for about 4 years now. The only thing is I've had to replace the bowl ones because I had a glass one and I smashed it on my countertop, taking it out of the sink. The lip of it hit it and it shattered. Oh yeah. Now we have a nice whipping cream, and I'm just going to show you. A nice thick whipping cream. It doesn't taste like anything, so don't try it. Don't waste your time. It tastes like nothing because there's no sugar or anything in it. It's just heavy cream. It tastes like butter, to be honest. But I'm just going to scrape the sides here because now is the point where it's going to try to start to turn colors. It'll actually go from this beautiful white color to a beautiful buttery yellow. And it'll just take a little bit longer. So we'll turn that back on to the speed it was on. And let that continue whipping. It'll start to turn yellow. When it starts to turn yellow, I'll show you. But it'll start to get a yellow tint and you'll start to see where it's going to start turning to like a cottage cheese look and separating from the liquid and just be that dense, heavy butter. Yeah, it's already starting to get that yellow tint to it from over whipping. But yeah, you're basically just making whipped cream overly whipped. Yeah, it's already turning yellow and starting to separate some. So it's not much longer from here, maybe about 5 minutes until we have actual butter. Not much longer at all. And what you can do is you can start separating your garlic and parsley into a separate little container to kind of be ready to combine. Be ready to combine those into the butter once it separates. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna show you this. So when it's starting to separate, obviously you can see it in the whisk there, but it's gonna start to look like this. It's very thick and starting to get that yellow tint. So yeah, we have probably less than 5 minutes until this is ready. And you do not add your ingredients into this mixer because you're gonna get the buttermilk separating from it, and then you're gonna have garlic, parsley, maybe salt, flavored butter. I'm gonna scrape this bowl again because it's really caking up there on the sides. And I liked whipped butter too. If you like whipped butter, I mean, it's your call when you stop. I like whipped butter, but we like mashed potatoes around here, so this is better. And it'll start getting a deeper yellow tint as well. Yeah, it's starting to separate a little now. Don't stick your spatula in the mixer while it's on. I've totally done that before. leave that alone. I'm gonna use just a spoon. Probably about this much minced garlic. I know I need to open it. Probably about this much parsley. That's probably about maybe 2.5 tablespoons. And then some salt. Probably about a teaspoon of salt, maybe a little more. Scraping the sides again. You want to make sure you continue to scrape those sides, because if you don't, you're gonna have whipped cream stuck to the side of the bowl while you have buttermilk and butter in here. And I don't know about y'all, but we're not in the business of wasting. And if we don't eat it, we've got 5 two-legged friends outside that would love to eat it. I'm referring to my chickens. We have only named 3 of them. We've got Grace, Sassy, and Chunky. Sassy would always peck my fingers when we got her, when she was just like a little baby chick. Grace is our oldest chicken, and then Sassy, or Chunky, ate literally nonstop as a chick. She would literally just sit at the bowl and just eat. So we started calling her Chunky. And in our city, you can't have a rooster. You can only have hens, and you can only have 6 of them. So we've got 5. Oh yeah, there's a lot of buttermilk in here. Let me show you where we're at this point. That buttermilk is just dripping. I hate to waste it, but I just want to show you guys that liquid. That's all the buttermilk, and then we've got the butter separating from it. Oh no, I don't want to waste any. I don't want to waste any, but I'm going to scrape the bowl again. And this will be it. That should be the last time I have to scrape the bowl. It's really separating now. All of that butter will get caught in the whisk, so you won't have to worry too much. about being able to tell what's butter and what's buttermilk, because that butter is going to like clump together how butter does inside of the whisk. I normally do some laundry right about now. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. It's almost like juicing a lemon, where you're squeezing all the juice out of it just to be left with the peel and the pit. Thought that was gonna be my last time. One more. Wow, we've got a lot of buttermilk. So typically when I do about half a container, I'm getting about maybe 8 ounces of buttermilk. Sorry, y'all hear that? That's the buttermilk and the butter separating. Whew, and that is time. Okay. So at this point, you're gonna see all this butter clumped up into the whisk. I'm gonna push it down out of the whisk, back into the buttermilk. Okay, let me pull this out of my way. And what you're gonna wanna do next is get your cheesecloth ready. I like to fold mine in half. Go ahead and get that bowl of ice ready, ice water. Okay. Lay that cheesecloth over that, okay? And you're going to take all the butter you can find and squeeze the buttermilk out of it the best you can. Get all that butter out of there if you can. And then before we rinse the butter, because we got to rinse the butter, we're going to get, I'll show you guys how to make sure you got all the butter out of the buttermilk. All right, so I think I've squeezed all that I can squeeze out of this. I'm going to set this buttermilk aside. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to set it aside. I'm going to stick my butter in my cheesecloth on top of my ice water. I'm going to wrap it up just like this and submerge it. And I'm just going to squeeze, because you're going to want to rinse it the best that you can inside of this ice water. And just get as much of that buttermilk out as you can. It's going to help preserve it longer. This is cold. I'm going to do gentle squeezes. And just rinse it as long as you feel necessary. I don't rinse it too long. I've got sensitive hands. But this is an important step. All right, and then once that's done, I'm gonna let it sit in there for a minute, because I'm gonna grab my parchment paper. And set it right here. And then I'm gonna unwrap my cheesecloth. And I'm just gonna set it on there, because in just a second, I'm going to take all these ingredients here, the salt, the parsley, and the minced garlic. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna mix it into my butter and decide whether or not I'm gonna need more. I always make sure that I don't use too much, but I wanna make sure that it's just right. All right, but first, I'm gonna take my handy dandy mason jar. And I'm gonna lay my cheesecloth over it. And I'm gonna pour my buttermilk in. And what this is doing is it's catching any of those butter clumps that I missed and sending the buttermilk straight into that jar. And then bam. We've got some beautiful buttermilk. It smells so good. It literally just smells like butter. Beautiful. And then we'll store that in the refrigerator and more than likely use it within a week. But now back to our butter. So now that we have our nice lump of butter, what we're gonna do is, feels gross, but bear with me. You can use a spatula if you would like. I'm gonna do it by hand because I like to make sure that it's all mixed properly. I took all of that parsley, all of that garlic, and the salt that I put in, and I'm going to just fold it into my butter, because your butter at this point should be pretty easy to mold. Pretty easy to mold and move, because it's going to be about room temperature at this point. Beautiful. This is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm actually going to flatten this out more. You can kind of form it into a butter stick if you want. I'm going to flatten mine out more because I'm actually going to freeze it. And it's better if you flatten it more to freeze. I'm just going to write the date that I made on it. And this can last in the freezer a long time. Just make sure you wrap it in the parchment paper. I'm actually going to stick it inside of a Ziploc bag in the parchment paper, which is probably unnecessary, but we store meats and stuff in that refrigerator, and I try to prevent cross-contamination as much as possible. And then I'm just going to wrap that up and put it in the refrigerator. And that is the easiest, less than 30-minute garlic butter. So you can use on garlic bread, you can use it inside of pasta, mashed potatoes, and it's going to store beautifully. Seriously, like, look at that. That is beautiful. I'll stick it in the freezer, let it harden. You can store it in a jar wherever you feel like it. This is, again, easiest for me, and it's the easiest to thaw back out when you need it. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you please click below, subscribe, let me know how you like the video, and if you try it. Y'all have a good one.